Welcome to Investing for Beginners in 60 Minutes. I am Jeremy. I'm going to be walking you through in 60 minutes from A to Z how to actually invest, including why do you need to invest, why saving money alone isn't enough to retire or retire early, what stocks should you buy if you're investing. We're going to go over that. What's an IRA, mutual fund, brokerage account? We're going to break down some of these potentially confusing terms. And what buttons do you actually click to get started investing? I'll get out of the way there. I got to go this way. Okay, so this is what we're going to go through. It's going to be 10 videos. They're going to be a few minutes each. So if you get through all these 10 videos, respect to you because you will have a much greater understanding of how to actually invest to build wealth. All right, let's get started. In these 10 videos, we're going to break down all sorts of details about how investing works, how to do it, what buttons to click, but we need to start with the real basics. There are 2 rules to building wealth. Rule number 1 is to live below your means. That means you have to spend less money than you make. If you make $500,000 a year and you spend $500,000 a year, at the end of the year, you're broke. And so no matter how much you make, you have to spend less than you make or you will always be broke. And rule number 2 is to invest early and often. If with that money you don't spend, instead of just saving it and letting it sit there, you have to put it to work. You have to invest it so that money can grow and participate in compound growth. In these 10 videos, we're going to just talk about rule number 2, investing, how to actually get started, what buttons to click, all the concepts you need to actually get started investing. There's tons of stuff on personal finance about rule number 1, budgeting, couponing, saving, frugality. I love all that stuff. It's all great and critical, but in these 10 videos, we're actually talking about investing. Let's jump into it with a story. So I love emojis. I'm going to tell you a story about 2 emojis, Ashley and Amanda. Ashley saves $500 per month. So she is living below her means to the tune of $500 per month, and she puts her money into a high yield savings account earning 2%. Right now, it's mid-2022. There are no savings accounts paying anywhere near 2%, but historically, that's a reasonable number for a high yield savings account. So let's go with it. Amanda, on the other hand, also saves $500 per month. So both Ashley and Amanda are saving the exact same amount of money. They're both following rule number 1, live below your means. But what does Amanda do? Instead of putting it into a high yield savings account, she invests it in an index fund, earning a 10% rate of return. How do they do? Let's take a look. So here is a chart that shows what happens. So this blue line right here, let me get out of the way, shows if you had saved that $500 per month, 12 months per year, for 40 years, that's $240,000. This is like the cash under the mattress, or if you buried it in your backyard, that's how much money you actually save. But Ashley here, let's see, Ashley doesn't put it under the mattress. She puts into a high yield savings account, earning that great 2% interest rate. What does she end up with after 40 years? She gets $365,000, which is great. That's $125,000 of interest, but $365,000 probably isn't enough to retire. If you're spending $50,000 a year, that gives you about 7 years. And it certainly is enough to retire early. Let's see how Amanda did. So Amanda comes in, there's Amanda, and she gets that 10% rate of return by investing in index funds. What does she end up with? Over $2.9 million. So that shows this dramatic difference between saving and investing. $2.9 million is enough to retire wealthy, maybe retire early. It's a massive difference, and it shows why it's so important to be investing and getting that higher rate of return rather than just saving. And so you might be saying to yourself, okay, those are just imaginary emojis with numbers that you put into an Excel sheet. And you're right, they are, and I get your point. So you might be saying, what would have happened if we actually invested over the last 40 years? Like a real life example. Well, would Amanda have actually ended up with $2.9 million? And the answer is no. She would have had actually $4.1 million. So that blue line is the actual stock market of the last 40 years. You can see it's not a perfectly smooth line. There are these crashes, there's these tops and bottoms, but it sticks pretty close to that 10% rate of return. And in fact, over the last 40 years, it was closer to 11.3%. And so this is a real actual way to get, a 10 or greater percent rate of return just by investing in the stock market. All right. That is the end of the first video. In the next video, we're going to go over the chart that will change your life. We're going to go over some math about how, very simple math, but it's going to be math that changes your life, about how this actually works and how this relatively small difference in rate of return turns 300,000 into, over $4 million in the case of the stock market in the last 40 years. So join me for the next video.